You can't see what my shirt says, so it just looks like I'm wearing a priest outfit in this video. Oh man. Okay, so we just got out of the packed house screening for I Can Only Imagine. I got here a little bit before you did, and there was already like a crowd of people in there, mostly hanging out in the lobby, and so I was behind a couple of them in line. One of them goes up to the ticket lady, and this old woman, and says like, "Oh, what is it we're here to see again?" And the ticket lady's just, "Is it I Can Only Imagine?" It's just like, yes, that's it. I would have laughed so hard. First of all, not a hard guess, but also to laugh like, no, Red Sparrow. Oh, okay.
We're here to see the movie with all the colors. What is it, Black Panther? Jesus.
That would have been like, oh, if they had said something else, it would have been like when I went to go see Old Fashioned, and there was an older couple in front of me, and I thought for sure they were also going to say Old Fashioned, but they said Kingsman. I'm like, great, well, one for this, one for Old Fashioned. And then, so you got here, and again, just people in the lobby, like some people with cowboy hats on and stuff like that. You look at me, you're like, crap, they're all here to see this movie, aren't they? I'm like, I'm pretty sure they are. The old woman in front of me was. We go off into the movie theater, and we go off into the movie theater, and we're like, all right, let's just sit in the back like we did for Case for Christ, which I think was the last one of these we went to go see that was really crowded.
Yeah.
Because usually it has, like, it was not crowded at Samson.
No.
That
one other guy
who came in during the first 5 minutes of the film. So we go like, all right, let's just like sit in the back or some shit. We go in there, it's packed in there, but they're only sitting in the second half of the theater. And we're like, okay, well, scratch that idea. We go sit up near the front. There was just like in the back half of the theater, there was like not an empty seat, but in the front, there was no one. It looked like
they were all there together.
It looked
that was a it was Bible group or something.
Well, it was mostly made up of an age demographic that's more likely to sit near the back of a movie theater. I think it was more so that than all 100 of them just came together. But it looked like before we went in there, it was like, okay, were they originally all spread out and then someone near the front farted and they almost, like, that's what it looked like when we were sitting in there. Like, we smell really bad, so they didn't want to hurt our feelings. I don't know, man. This movie had a lot of things going against it for me. It's from the same people who made Mom's Night Out, which was just god-awful. I don't know much about this band. I was working in radio when this song came out, so I certainly remember that. It's a song that, like, okay, I remember it when it came out. It's not a genre that I listen to. It's not a song that necessarily stuck with me. The only time I really hear it since then, because I'm not the audience for this song, the only time I hear it since then is if it's in a commercial or it's one of those late night compilation CDs. Like, I've seen this pop up on there a couple times, like those Christian CDs and everything. So, and we even joked beforehand, like, oh, are they going to play this like 30 times in the movie or something? And look,
to their credit, they only played it once.
No, they do. And it's
to
a
their
movie.
Credit, yeah, once. All right.
I even recognize people in this movie from several other of these movies. Kevin Downs is in this. He also produced the movie. He produced like a lot of these, and he was Fun Dad from Mom's Night Out.
Yeah.
He was in Flags of Our Fathers, or not Flags of Our the one Faith of Our Fathers.
Yeah.
Not the Clint Eastwood movie. I don't know. I honestly didn't think this movie was that bad. I really didn't. For a movie that's not made for me, and for a song that, again, I'm not gonna listen to. And being made by people who like I said, have done things in the past I didn't like all that much. I thought this movie was perfectly fine. I really didn't have a bad time watching this film.
Judging on our usual scale for the Christian movies, this is definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah, it is.
It is in the top 5%.
Dude, yeah, it's like...
because for a lot, I mean, it's definitely a Christian movie, but it's not... There's nothing in it that's hateful.
No,
there's nothing in it
not.
against
No.
other people.
No.
Of any race, creed, anything. It's a personal story, and they stick to that and they tell that story, and that's fine.
And it's a way, if we're talking like the genre of personal stories that we've gone to see, it's again way better than The Case for Christ.
No, yeah, absolutely. The quality of these Christian movies since we started going to see them has exponentially risen, and
sometimes
yeah, for the most part though, because those early ones were hard, and I don't know that we're numb to it now, but to me it honestly feels like they're starting to actually hire people that know how to use a camera.
You're right, and
that
they're
know
more
how to
well-made.
use lighting.
Yeah,
like they're still pretty crappily written and directed.
For some of them, yeah. Like, I mean, we mentioned that in Case for Christ, how that was certainly a much more well-made movie than God's Not Dead. And, I mean, you're still you're seeing it more now where, like, you can tell there's more money being put into them, and they're hiring more talented people to be in them as well. But we're still always gonna have a Samson. Like, they're still always gonna. I mean, hell, man. In 2 weeks, you were talking about this a little bit before we hit record, and I was like, "Well, don't worry, man. God's Not Dead 3 comes out in a couple weeks, and that'll bring us right back down to it."
And judging on our normal scale, this is much better than most of the Christian movies. The point I was making before we hit record was, I'm just so fucking sick of it.
Really?
I'm so sick of it, man.
But I'm. You know what?
Because here's the thing about these movies is they're not entertaining to me anymore because they're not that horribly bad anymore. I miss the horribly bad.
I feel
because this, well, certainly not a good movie.
Yeah.
In any way, is not something I can sit there and go, this was a horrible piece of shit.
No, and I didn't really think that going in necessarily. The movie is better. The movie is better than I thought it was going to be.
I didn't expect it to be terrible. And yeah, you're right. It is better than the trailers that we saw a few times.
Yes.
Made me believe like they hired some decent actors for this one. Not the whole cast. Just a handful of people.
You're still excited for God's Not Dead 3, though, aren't you?
Dude, I'm like, we need more of those now. We need more of those. Because
sometimes, sure.
I'm just sick of this shit because this shit is boring and predictable. It doesn't belong in a theater. How the fuck this was number 3 over the weekend?
Oh, I mean, I get that, but like, I mean, I get why it made money and everything, but sure, it's more fun for us to sit through something like God's Not Dead 3. But in terms of, even though, okay, some of the better ones like Case for Christ, that was not a good movie. Maybe this is a bad example, but take Case for Christ,
We're on the scale for the Christian movies.
Yeah.
That's in the top 10%. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. But even though we're only at this movie and we're only at the Case for Christ just for reviewing purposes, we wouldn't be watching this if it weren't for the website. So, okay, yeah, some of the worst ones, like Let There Be Light, God's Not Dead, The Identical, which this almost feels like a much better version of, the Identical. Yeah, those are more fun for us to sit through. It gives us something to talk about and everything. But for its target audience, for the people who are gonna go see a movie like this, because they're not seeing it for shits and giggles or because of a website or anything like that. For its target audience, I'm glad that there's a much better product like this out versus hateful fucking bullshit like the God's Not Dead movies.
No, absolutely. Like this is a harmless, like feel-good movie about a dude who was beaten by his dad and wrote a song about it. Or he didn't write a song about that. he was inspired to write a song because of that.
Sure. I didn't think this was a bad movie, honestly. Like, I didn't think this movie was great, but for a movie that, yes, it's predictable, you know where the movie's going, and for a song that I'm never gonna listen to again, for a type of movie I've seen before, because it hits all the same notes that, sorry for lack of a better word, it hits the same notes that a movie like this usually hits.
Yeah.
Even with, yeah, it's this guy's life story, this stuff happened, but I mean, you've seen family relationships like that in movies like this before.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
For a movie that is like that I've seen it before, I thought it was a decent version of that kind of movie.
No, it's not. I'm not railing against this movie. It's just the genre that I'm burned out on.
Yeah.
No,
I get it. Because it is more fun to sit through the worst ones.
Oh, and since this one was a musical-based one, or one that revolved around music, which we've seen before, I gotta bring up a thought that I had while watching the movie, listening to them sing these Christian songs that are all about Jesus.
Uh-huh.
And it's not just that these songs are about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
They're love songs about Jesus. No.
So like the South Park episode, or
it's pretty. I don't know. I haven't watched South Park in fucking years. So
this is an older episode.
Yeah. But no, they're fucking love songs about Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, literally, if you were to take out the word Jesus and replace it with like Mary or Susie, and have it sung by Marvin Gaye, those would be songs about fucking.
That's what there's a. You might have seen this episode. It's a fairly old South Park episode.
I don't think I've watched South Park since the second season.
Oh, okay. Well, then it was past that. But I haven't been watching it in a long time either. But I remember this episode. Cartman starts a Christian band, and that's what he does.
Oh, really?
He basically does what you just said.
That's what the songs are. They're all about fucking Jesus. Like, will I get down on my knees? It's like, I'm sorry, man. Like,
it's kind of the Sister Act as well.
Yeah.
The plot of Sister Act.
No, yeah. It's just like, oh yeah, we'll sing these old
these old Motown songs, and it's about Jesus now. You just change the context a little bit. Yeah, I can see that. I like that it opened with "Don't Bring Me Down."
Yeah, it was like at first when the movie first opened, they're like, okay, we're gonna play ELO.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna play an old school U2 song.
Yeah.
And then he has his music revelation, and it's Amy fucking Grant.
Why not? Sure. I mean,
it's like, motherfucker, you had Jeff Lynne and Bono on the edge, and Amy Grant's the one that sends you over the fucking edge. That's what gets your little sweatpants all tight. Fuck you, Christian boy.
Hey, she had a couple songs that are all right. But I mean, of course, like.
Yeah, I know, but like, you don't fucking tease me with Jeff Lynne
and then jump to Amy Grant.
Yeah.
I want to see this. You kind of touched on something I was thinking about too. I want to see this exact same movie, but about like Rick Dees making Disco Duck.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you see, my dad was wounded in a duck hunting accident, and he can't disco dance anymore. So I wrote this song about him.
It's one of those things that it's just like, oh yeah, it's sadly, like, nothing in this movie is that, like, even though there's like drama that could be touched on the story, like, it's told in such a painfully boring way that the most interesting thing about it is the catharsis of writing this shitty song.
I thought that for a lot of the movie, I was kind of invested in what was going on. It did drag for me in parts. Like, it reached a point for me where I was like, okay, write the song already.
Yeah.
It did reach that point for me. But I can tell you what elevated this movie above the fact you've seen this kind of musical biopic before, and even some other Christian movies as well. One thing that really did elevate this movie for me was I thought the acting was really good in it. Like, I thought
three roles. There's three roles that I'll say the acting was actually really good. Fucking
Dennis
Quaid, of course, and he was hamming it up in some scenes, and I think that was writing and editing, but he was good.
He was really good in this. There was even a nod to him at the beginning.
Yeah.
Did you notice on the marquee that
Yeah.
said Jaws 3D?
Trace Adkins
He was really good.
I thought excellent.
Yeah.
And the lead kid, who apparently has done no acting before.
For it being his first anything, like,
His
he's
first-
really good in this.
Like, there's some of the drama I felt like from him felt a little forced, a little
there were
hammy.
a couple of times.
There were a couple times, but every time they gave him a comedic beat,
Yeah.
he fucking
He
sold
nailed it
that
when he
shit.
was on-
and it wasn't forced comedy. It
No.
was real good play comedy.
Yeah,
like,
no, it was when it's the whole thing at the beginning when he's in
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Even I agree there were a couple of points where I was like, you probably could have gotten another take on this
Yeah.
and it would have been better. But even a lot of the drama when he had to
Yeah.
show some tears.
For his
and
first
when-
movie, yeah. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
man. Like, I really thought he was good. There's performances in this movie from people that I've seen be bad in other things that I thought they were fine in this. This movie has the wife from War Room in it. Sure, she's only got a few lines in this movie.
She's only got a few lines,
But-
and she wasn't put in a dramatic situation. She was an encouraging black music teacher, and I think that's probably just like that's her thing.
She in real life, I believe, is a motivational speaker.
Well, there we go.
Like, I think she is.
That's her thing. And then like the supporting members that are in the band, like they have some good like. There was obviously like those dudes were hanging out a lot because they
Yeah.
had good moments together.
Yeah, no, they did, and even their living situation reminded me of like our living situations when we were that age, around this time. You
Like
know?
who's paying rent this month?
Yeah.
Everyone lives in my living room now. Okay.
The kid version of the lead, I thought, did a good job.
He you know what, for a kid actor,
Yeah.
like he had the same benefit that the guy who was the main lead had, was that like those comic beats he was
Yeah.
nailing. Like he had
Uh-huh.
good expressions. The other kid actors were fucking painful. That little girl hurt my fucking brain.
I didn't think anything about her. I mean, I've seen some. It's
yeah.
not that I'm disagreeing with you about her performance. It just I
I've
didn't.
seen worse.
I
yeah.
didn't note. Well, I've seen worse recently. Sarah
Yeah.
and I were at something a week or two ago that had just fuck me, like Fuller House level child acting in it. But her, I don't know. Maybe she just wasn't in the movie enough for me to really notice that well. But
It was because that beginning part with them as kids was so fucking unnecessarily long, those two together. And I know they were setting up this grand romantic side story that
The
really is just
relationship.
fucking incidental through the movie. They could have cut 90% of that shit. Not it really wouldn't have changed much in the quality of the movie, but they could have cut it. Yeah, it was just I was just waiting for the movie to kick in, and it just kept having this. I feel bad when I bitch about child actors because they're just kids. They're just kids, and they're doing their best.
Uh-huh.
You know, and like if it was my kid, I'd be like, "You're great," and I would mean it.
mm-hmm.
But like, it's just fucking child actors. you get one every 10 years that's really good. No, I'm
You
not
get your
kidding.
Osment every
You
10
get your
years,
Jo-
your
Haley-
Tatum
Or
O'Neal's,
your Dakota Fanning.
Yeah.
You get one every 10 years that's really good. But the problem is they're in fucking everything.
because they're the only good ones.
Because they're the only
Yeah.
good ones.
Yeah.
And then after that, like 5 to 10 years of them being really good child actors, they kind of disappear. And I feel bad for the ones that are actually really good. Because it's like, man, Haley Joel Osment, you were great. And
Yeah.
he's coming back as like a funny side character.
Yeah,
actor.
he is.
And Dakota Fanning was always great. And now she's being eclipsed by her sister, who's also
She's
pretty
damn good. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel bad for child actors. I honestly
Oh, well,
do.
yeah, I think most people do.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
even the ones that are bad, like I watch them and I'm like, oh, you're hurting my brain and my face, but good for you, sweetie. I don't know.
there was some review, I can't remember what it was. I don't even remember if it was one I was in, but it was Brian was in this one. God damn it, I can't remember the name of the fucking.
The one where he wanted to punch all the kids.
No, that was Let There Be Light.
Yeah.
But there was oh man, those kids.
Ooh, yeah.
But sometimes you just gotta let loose and just be like, no, fuck this performance. No, there was some movie Brian reviewed where like he said something like, I don't have any evidence of this, but I can just tell that kid is a fucker. Fuck, I can't remember what fucking review it was. I don't think it was one with me and him. I think
it might have been with me.
It might have been with you. It was either with you or with Sarah, probably.
Oh, man.
God damn it. I can't fucking remember.
Oh, man.
But someone out there might remember. But no, the kid in this, the girl, I didn't really know this necessarily.
It bugged me, and I can understand why it wouldn't bug other people, but it bugged me. I'm at the point where we're watching these movies, and like it's not that I'm necessarily being nitpicky. It's that like movies like this, I don't care enough about getting caught up in the story that I'm like, well, that's fucking stupid. That's fucking poorly done. I'm not looking for shit to nitpick. It just fucking like presents itself to me like a fucking present.
In this, I was getting caught up, and it could be largely because of the acting.
No,
and
every time Quaid or Trace Adkins was on screen, I was like, fucking, I'm in for this scene.
I was fine with this movie. I didn't even think it was that badly made of a movie, honestly. Like, could a story like this be just put on TV or something?
Oh, it should have been on TV.
Yeah.
It didn't belong in theaters.
Well, I mean, again, like I said, like better something
Someone's making money off of it, and good for them. But
better something like this than a majority of the Pure Flix movies we see, or Let There Be Light, or shit like that. This, I didn't think it was that badly made of a movie. Yeah, it's hammy in parts, and it's melodramatic in parts, sure, but a movie like this usually is. This is not a movie that I'm gonna watch again. It's a movie I wouldn't have seen if it weren't for the site, but...
Well, the guys that made this, and they also made Mom's Night Out, which
is awful.
Which is awful, but I'll give them credit on something for both movies. Is that, yes, they have a niche audience, and a type of, like... They're making Christian movies, but you can tell from the movies that they're doing that they are also honestly interested in just making movies. Not well.
If there's one thing I can tell by both movies, and you're right, as much as Mom's Night Out was one of the worst of these that we've had to sit through.
But it wasn't. But it was the worst of them in every technical aspect, not the emotional aspect.
It was,
you know,
it was one that was marketed to a mainstream audience, and you can kind of tell that by looking at the movie. A couple things in comparison to both movies. This one, at least they're doing a story that they're equipped to do. They're fine with telling this guy's life story, as opposed to Mom's Night Out, which is this group trying to take on postpartum depression.
No, and that was awful. It was like sometimes like it's like I'm all about people being able to tell other people's stories and like put themselves in mindsets and stuff.
Sure.
But there's some shit like honestly, I don't give a fuck, even if they were incredibly talented. Like two dudes shouldn't be telling the story of postpartum depression.
Oh man, I wish you were there for Voiceless.
Unless it's the story of like the main character is a dude and he's dealing with like being around. Sure. Yeah, then a dude can tell. Fine, but you know, like sometimes just let the ladies tell the stories. Guys.
God, I wish you were there for Voiceless. Oh my god. Oh fuck. No, and one thing I noticed about the two movies as well is that there were moments in Mom's Night Out, as bad as the movie was, there were a couple of moments with Kevin Downs, the fun dad, where they kind of directed comedy okay.
Yeah, no, and
like he had a couple of funny lines in that movie, and in this, there are genuinely funny moments in the movie.
Yeah, and they're predictable, but they're funny.
Yeah.
But they're predictable in that kind of way that these movies are going to be predictable.
The cast sells
it. No, I just like, I don't have any major problems with this movie except for I didn't like it. But I can sum up this movie by a thought I had in the theater,
Yeah.
which is, as he's, of course you would expect this, as he's singing the song at the end,
Yeah.
and the camera goes around him and it comes back to the audience, the light goes from orange to blue,
Yeah.
and it's the empty theater.
Uh-huh.
And he's pausing, and one person stands up and claps,
Mhm.
and this woman 2 rows behind us goes, "Do you think it's his dad?"
Man, there was shit like that throughout this whole
I know.
fucking movie.
And she goes-
Holy, oh.
And she goes, "Do you think it's its dad?" And it took everything I had in me not to just go, "Of course it's his dad. Have you never seen a fucking movie before?"
That lady was doing this through the whole movie, man. Holy shit. I don't know how much of it you heard. She might have been sitting closer to me, maybe, but she was doing that shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like,
Or the dude with the cold that every time he sneezed would go, "Bless me."
he was doing that shit out loud, too. I think
Yeah.
he was sitting next to her. And that guy I have another thought, too, and it has to do with that guy. For a movie that we went to go see where I'm pretty sure someone in the audience died 3/4 of the way through the movie. The movie's not that bad. That fucking guy was annoying.
Yeah.
God damn. And they were sitting really close to us, too.
"Do you think it's his dad?"
She had the same review of Field of Dreams.
"Do you think it's his dad?"
Man. Anyway, I mean, my final thought on this is, look, you guys out there aren't gonna go see this.
Yeah, if you're
but,
watching Us, it's not for you.
but let's say, you do have to see this for, I don't know, maybe you're seeing it with a family member or something. I thought the movie was fine. Overall, like let's say, I mean, for its target audience, yeah, I thought it was really, really good. But I mean, overall, it's a movie that could be on TV and you can get caught up with it. Unless you're really familiar with this band or the song, I don't think there's any reason necessarily you'd want to pay to see this in the theater. But let's say you do end up seeing this in the theater, you won't have that bad a time with this movie, I don't think. But if you want to see it just to see, like, oh well, let's see just a better one of these movies, then you could Redbox it. You could rent it.
On the Christian movie scale, it's easily in the 5%, top 5%, maybe higher. At the same time, I wouldn't pay money. I wouldn't suggest anybody unless this is completely their bag.
Yeah,
I wouldn't suggest spending money on it. Like,
it's one I think that at the least, if it was like on. It's hard to suggest a movie like this to somebody who it isn't their bag, because why would somebody who doesn't really like this song want to sit through the movie? But again, like I said, if you do, I thought the movie was good enough to where it's like, even though I'm not into the song, I thought the movie was fine.
like this is the kind of thing that, like, okay, come the holiday season and you're at your uptight in-laws house.
Oh yeah.
And they want to watch it. Well,
Yeah.
just, you'll be okay. But like, you know, like, I'll say, like, go spend money, see Saving Christmas.
Oh
Because-
yeah. Well, that's for a
because that's-
completely different reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of along the same lines as, like, my whole argument this whole time today is why I'm getting sick of these movies is because
You want them to be worse
I want them
again.
to be glorious.
Yeah. I mean,
Like-
hey, we got God's Not Dead 3 in a couple of weeks.
I know. And it's just like, you know, these poor to middling ones are just bumming me out. I want something shitty.
I get it. I totally get what you're saying. I do. I mean, I'm glad that this audience has better movies now, but like, no, even though there are a lot of movies like this out, like, well, maybe not a lot, but at least you're more able to sort of see a better one now.
Yeah.
There will still be a couple throughout the
Oh,
year
yeah.
that'll be like, ooh, I mean, we'll still have our Let There Be Lights. We'll still, I mean, Saving Christmas is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Like, that motherfucker made money off that movie.
Yeah, he did.
Like,
I want another one. I want him to do a fucking Easter movie.
oh man.
I want that shit.
Like, I want him to do something with like a ridiculous holiday, like Saving Grandparents Day.
Yeah. Yeah. Saving Garbage Day.
Because I want him to come up with some crazy ass bullshit to justify a greeting card holiday. That's
Yeah.
what I want to see. I want him to take a completely made up bullshit
Yeah.
holiday and make it like
Yeah.
no, this is why.
We did get that trailer for, and it's Pureflix too, the sequel to Angelina Jolie's Unbroken. That's
Yeah.
not directed by Angelina Jolie or co-written by the Coen brothers like the first one, but it's from the director of God's Not Dead. Boy, I can't think of a bigger steep in film history. But the first one wasn't even very good. You know what? Here's the weird thing is, I saw the first one. I saw it with Ryan. It sucked. Oddly enough, that second one looks better. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know.
it's here's the plot.
Okay.
Okay,
The guy who made God's Not Dead is like, because he made that Case for Christ, right?
he might have.
I think that was him. So honestly, since Case for Christ was like, God's Not Dead is way down here.
Yeah.
Case for Christ is like here. What if that's like up here?
Yeah, I want. He did do. I'm pretty sure he did. Do You Believe? The one we saw that was like Crash but religious.
Oh yeah, that one was weird.
That one was pretty bad. But like, no, Unbroken. It picks up from the first Unbroken, but now it's about him as an Olympic runner, but he's being haunted by the ghost of the Japanese guy who tortured him. Like, it looks like there's way more stuff happening in this movie than the first one. I just can't believe that that's getting made, and by a wildly different set of people.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
insane. Oh my god.
Yeah, because I think it is. It's either like a sequel, or they're like, well, this is someone's story, and we could just use it. But the trailer begins with the next chapter.
during the movie, I was thinking about Unbroken. I was like, okay, they're building this up like it's a sequel. It's reminding me of Unbroken, but it can't be. No, it is.
Unbroken.
Whoa! All right, everyone. Thanks a
night.
bunch for watching. Coming up Thursday, Pacific Rim 2, and Sherlock Gnomes also comes out this weekend, more importantly. So, all right, everyone. Thanks a bunch. Take care.